Wake up, my car. Awaken! Awaken! Stop beeping at me. I'm putting on the seatbelt. Relax, car. Welcome to Commute number 3, Anti-Insomnia. I came up with the title ahead of time. This is the show where I drive to work and back and talk to you about all the nonsense in my life. I am driving to work early because my job is run by a bunch of morons. A bunch of moroons. Dummies. Big old dum-dums. Stupid corporate asshole. They recently told me that if anyone punches in 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late, they will be written up for their crimes. Which is maybe the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because I always show up like 5, 6, 7 minutes late. Not even really late. I usually get there on time, but by the time I punch in, because I have to unlock all the doors and do all this stuff, by the time I punch in, it's a little bit later. And the business actually saves money because they have to pay me less because I've been there less. But I guess they don't like making money, so they have told everyone, not just me, but everyone, it's like a policy thing now, to punch in at exactly the time you're scheduled. Omega oof. Anyway, the reason this episode is called Anti-Insomnia is because I have invented a new word, and that word is anti-insomnia. If you don't know, insomnia, it's this thing where you can't sleep no matter how hard you try. I propose anti-insomnia, the inability to wake up. I slept 15 hours today and 15 hours yesterday. Do you ever just think, is something wrong with me, or am I just weird? I don't know. I have no clue. But I've been sleeping a ton. I woke up at the appropriate time. I finally fixed my sleep cycle so that I could make videos and work on stuff again and get ready for the stream. I woke up at 4 p.m. and I went, hell yeah, it's time. It's time. You've been only awake at night for 2 months straight. It's time to wake up and work on some stuff. And then I went, I'm just going to lay down with the lights on for like 10 minutes. And then I went, I'm just going to turn this light off real quick. And then I went, I'm asleep. And then 7 more hours passed, and I went, that's not a normal human amount of time to sleep. That's the wrong amount of time. That's too much sleep. Too much time. So yeah, that's me right now. I looked at how many people have watched the last one, the first episode I released of this. I made 2 before that, or maybe 3 before that, I can't remember. But they're not very good, and I was still coming up with the idea, so I don't know if I'm going to release them or not. I might take a week off 1 week, and then release them as like a, ooh, surprise, episode 1, here you go. But I guess we'll just start here with number 3, baby. Who needs a first episode? They always suck anyway. Now we just won't have them. So I've taken some notes in the last 20 minutes before I started doing this. I wrote down some comments that I like, some comments that I don't like, and some important feedback that I need to actually do something about. So I thought I'd go through those and then talk about some other stuff, and we just have a good time. Since I'm leaving early, I don't have to worry about being late, but I don't know. I feel like I have to rush every time now because of my stupid job. It's dangerous to force your employees to be faster because now they're going to speed to work rather than drive safely and slowly, It just seems like capitalism doesn't care about the safety of humanity. Whatever. All right, so I have a comment here. I'm at a stop sign, so I can read it real fast. All right, this is about the video I talked about last week. It's a new comment. A lot of people have been still watching that video. It's so funny to see people get mad about turning possible relationship between 2 boys into don't ruin my favorite game. These kind of people are the ones ruining everything and trying to make everything straight. The facts are the facts, and it's clear as day that a bunch of dude bro, straight people, Sora Kyrie stans didn't pay attention to the entire franchise. Go play everything again without being biased with straight romance. If that doesn't show the id of anyone who is a So Riku fan, I don't know what is. Yeah, it can be really frustrating when you read a piece of media with a gay subtext and then people are shitty about it. So yeah, it can be really infuriating to be a gay person online and have gay opinions and then have the straight people get real mad about your gay opinions. But I don't know. It's a mixed opinion, I'm always out in the middle about the whole thing. But here's another comment that's on the other end of the spectrum. A spectrum that I really don't talk about that much. But it's sort of an asexual interpretation. Maybe I am weird, but I've had many relationships like this, where it's just 2 friends that are really, really close. With my friends growing up. straight boy with another straight boy, nothing homosexual about it. Maybe it could be confused for gay by someone with feelings like that. True love has nothing to do with sex, as it is different, like you say. However, there is nothing gay about being romantic with your close friends. It's the truest of love. It ain't gay to kiss the homies, bro. It ain't gay to kiss the homies. They're not wrong about that. Yeah, the idea that, you know, straight relationships can also just be friendships that are really close, and the bonds of brotherhood, male-on-male friendships, they're great. I've had plenty of you know, male-on-male friendships that were close and were, like, not romantic at all. I've had a couple that were romantic and not sexual in any way. Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's complicated. And I think that things are way more complicated than people think. Or maybe way simpler than people think. Maybe we overcomplicate it by creating all these concepts around sexuality and gender and romance and all these labels that don't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. I mean, being gay wasn't even a thing you were, it was a thing you did up until 100 years ago. So, I don't know, man. It's been talked about for generations. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years we've been arguing about this shit. I'm sure people were arguing about various Shakespeare plays and whether or not the male leads were into each other. I'm sure it's been a thing forever across all media. But yeah, I see what they mean. They're entirely right to have their opinion. And also the opinion that, you know, this is an aromantic, asexual thing is also entirely valid. In fact, it might even be more valid than all the rest. All right, this is a comment. Here we go. This is the big one. The comments like that, those two, they wouldn't upset me if I was a, you know, entirely straight individual reading this stuff and watching these videos. If you're upset about people having a specific ship, then you're a little attached to the media, and maybe you got some stuff to deal with in your own personal life. But this comment basically infuriated me, and I don't know why. It isn't even that upsetting, but for some reason it cut me to my core. This video is better when you zoom in on the gameplay and can't see the cringy VTuber. Also, this is just Kingdom Hearts 1 Cliff Notes. Man, he got me. That guy, he got me. He cut to my core. It's like that when you're in high school and then somebody says that one comment that you've been thinking about your entire life, and then they just say it right at you and it destroys you. It doesn't even mean anything. It's such a, you know, an unassuming comment. You know, it's like, oh, you know, VTuber cringe. This is just Cliff Notes of Kingdom Hearts 1. But somehow, right in that moment, it just hits you, and you're like, damn, maybe they're right. Maybe the last 60 videos I've done about Kingdom Hearts have just been complete bullshit, and everything I say is completely stupid. Putting a VTuber in all of my videos, man, maybe that was a bad decision, you know? Having a physical face for my audience to attach to, definitely a terrible decision. You know, it would have been so much better if it was just footage of Kingdom Hearts over and over and over again, and that's all it was, and people just clicked the video, and then here's a bunch of footage of Kingdom Hearts, and that's it. No personality behind the video, no humanity, just endless content slop, you know? Like TikTok, you know? Just a video with, like, no actual personality there, that you won't be able to remember this person, and even if you like them, you won't be able to find them again. Yeah, let's just cut all the creators out of creation. Let's just have AI make everything. Let's just have AI make everything. Let's just have automatic Reddit videos where an AI will scan Reddit and then just put the comment of a Reddit video and then speak it, and then they'll use some sort of editing AI bot to just sort of cut through all the text so that it fades when they're talking about it. Let's just do that from now on. That makes sense to me. Yeah, let's not have creators anymore. Creativity? What a joke. The Sistine Chapel? Toaster could have painted it better. Why don't you just take a photo of God? Why don't you just take a photo of God and Adam touching fingertips? Yeah, let's not painstakingly paint this beautiful thing or anything. All those statues of David could have been an email. Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to talk about it because it is an interesting concept. It's like, should I have a VTuber model at all? Is it a good idea to have a face? When I first made content, I used my face. I had videos with like face cam that I recorded and I made, and I just don't like looking at myself. I got body image issues, so I can't really look at my own human face. And I always thought about like JonTron, Angry Video Game Nerd, Peanut Butter Gamer, that was another one. Guys who like, they just show their face and they talk about a thing, and they got the shelf behind them with all their knickknacks, and it's like, look at me, I got nerd cred. I own all these video games, you see. That means mine had movies on the shelf. And that was the format I based my videos on, and then I just did it with a VTuber. And apparently people don't like that. I get it. VTubers are still cringe, even though it's like the safer alternative to creating content, and that if I didn't do that, the people that are real mad about whether or not I say if Sora and Riku had a long full talk on the beach, those people get real mad, and now that they have my face, they can do a lot more horrible things to me. But whatever. Yeah, being a VTuber, bad idea. Just bad idea overall. But here's some positive comments. Finally, first! Man, I never get people saying first. I love it when people do that. It's so rare nowadays. Love your concept of content. That's heartwarming. You know, every once in a while I'll be done with work, or, you know, I'll sleep for 15 hours straight and be unable to wake up, trapped in my own body, unable to escape the exhaustion of tiredness and that sweet, sweet bed. And then I'll get up and I'll look at my email and I'll get a comment that just says, like, I really like your Truth About video series. Subscribed! ! Or like that first one where it's like, finally, first, love your concept of content. Thank you. Thank you. Bottom of my heart. It makes it all worth it. Because you look at the numbers and you're like, I'm such a small little baby. But then you see the few comments and you're like, okay, that makes up for the guy that told me I shouldn't be a VTuber. And then I just did Cliff Notes. And you know what? He's right. I did just do Cliff Notes in that. I was pulling back because I felt like the video before that, where I was talking about Sora and Riku, went a little too far into the subjective nature of the medium. So I pulled back and was like very specific, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to talk about the facts here. And then I made the Sora video, and then everybody was like, this is just that guy was just like, this is just Cliff Notes. And you're like, what do you want here, man? If I talked about the deeper meanings of Sora's psyche and soul, you would complain about that. You're just here to be mad, dude. Relax, man. But yeah, so here's the next thingy. So talking about the VTuber, I got many comments about some stuff about my VTuber. So let's read a couple of them. Why are PNG VTubers animated in such an unsettling way? And then here's another one. Might I suggest an eye shine for your model? Looks freaky without it. Now, every once in a while I'll get a couple of comments like this, but recently I've gotten a lot more. I wonder if it's because I'm reaching a wider audience, that more people are looking at my VTuber model closely and being like, hey, this is cheap garbage. And I think to myself, yes, I made it myself out of a box of scraps. My VTuber model is a thrown together mess. My face is just a collage of a bunch of random stills and screenshots photoshopped together into a horrible mess. And I get it. I got some dead eyes. I've thought about upgrading it for a long time. I need to upgrade it because I have a thing I want to try before the next stream. So I recently made like a to-do list of like every single step I need to take to upgrade my model. So I am going to do that soon. It is a thing I'm planning. It'll be nice to like actually have nice eyes, maybe. I've also been practicing drawing a lot lately because I want to get better at it so that I could eventually draw my own model, because I feel like I'm too generic and I'm using art assets that technically I'm allowed to use, but it's a gray area. So I don't know. I get it. I get what they mean. And yeah, VTubers are a bit cringe at times, and we are weirdly animated. And there's 3D models, and I have a 3D model that I should use instead, but I like the flatness of being 2D. I don't know. I was gonna read listener questions, but nobody left any questions yet. I should probably put it up front at the beginning, like, hey, leave your questions in the comments if you want to ask me anything. But maybe people just don't care enough to leave questions. I don't know. We only got like 20 views on this video, and I realized that I unlinked the podcast channel from my list of channels, so finding the video would have been hard if you didn't click the link. You could just go into my link tree and it's right there, but I get it. Extra steps, too much work. I don't know. I think that this is a weird show, and the audio quality is purposely bad, and you can hear a car, and I'm just driving through the fog right now, and I'm desperately trying not to be late. I almost forgot for a second that I'm supposed to be driving faster than I usually do. I usually drive really slow because I work nights, and also I'm a really anxious driver. So like I will drive purposely like 15 under the speed limit because it's the middle of the night, it's pitch black out, there's deer everywhere. Usually there's like snowstorms and rain I'm driving through. It's been surprisingly nice lately, but now I've been having to speed up. Yesterday when I drove to work, I had to drive at full speed, like maximum speed limit all the way there. And I was nervous the whole time because I was like, there's deer everywhere. The void is filled with deer. They will not stop fucking around. I see a dead deer every like 3 days. There's just a flattened, broken mess of traumatizing flesh sitting in the street, and you're just like, fuck, man. Somebody should do something about that. And then you just gotta keep driving because you're like, I'm gonna be late to work. Capitalism. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? Pick it up yourself? There's people who are supposed to do that for people. And then you come back the next day and it's gone. And it's like, okay, so I guess they just drive down the road picking up all the dead deer all day. What a horrible job. But the deer, man, they're everywhere. They're crazy. They're nutcases. I've seen so many deer. I think I've seen more deer than people in the last 5 years. There are so many of them. I saw so many deer that I made a board game. I made a board game called Fuck Deer. All about how deer screw you over. Is this little game, and it's I can't remember if it was a card game or if it was like, I have the rules written somewhere, but it's basically this idea that like every day you have to go to work and you have to pull, like, I think it was you pull cards, and if you get a deer, you immediately get your card destroyed, and then you have to roll for damages, and you're slowly losing money as the deer continue to onslaught and destroy your vehicles as you accidentally hit them and murder them in horrible, traumatic sadness. That you feel terrible that you've bumped into a deer, but also terrible that they've destroyed your means of transportation. It's just bad for everybody. Poor deer. Oh dear. That's what the game should have been called. It shouldn't have been called Fuck Deer. It should have been called Oh Dear. I like to make up fun little board games because I'm a little weirdo. Anyway, so if you don't know, when I'm doing this podcast, I have like a list of every step I'm supposed to take. Before I start this, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to write down everything I want to talk about so I don't forget about it. So coming up in a week and a half, it's like 8 days, I think, the end of the month, is the stream. It's coming. I'm terrified. I'm changing my model up. I'm giving him the ability to turn around, to be backwards. I'm calling it the backwards model. I had this thing that I came up with. See, with my model, the thing people don't understand about my model, the reason it looks so fucking weird, the reason it's animated so weird and its resolution is so bad, is because I have a bunch of insanely stupid features that no one else would ever add. Wacky shit that nobody should ever have on their model. Like, he has the ability to shapeshift. He can change his clothes, his hair, his eyes. He can rip his face off and turn into a shadow. He could play piano, he could play guitar, he could play harmonica. He's got 7 guitars. I think I got rid of all of the guitars, actually. I don't know if I still have them. I have like 5 different outfits. I can remove my entire body and just be a head and attach to things and become stuff. So I got a lot of superpowers, but as a result of that, there's not a lot of room for textures like big-ass eyes that have high resolution, or like, good shit. One week, I decided to just give myself the ability to be thick. So when I pressed a button, I would just get real thick. And I realized that I could just get rid of that and replace it with being backwards. Because what it does when I become thick is it's a whole other set of my model that's just like slightly altered to be thicker that appears on top of my previous model. So theoretically, if I replace that with my backside, just the back of my jacket and the back of my legs, then suddenly I'm backwards and I could be facing the screen, which could be very useful for a lot of interesting things with content. So I'm going to be the first one to do that. I saw a few people do 3/4 models, but I've never seen anybody do full backwards. Most people just use 3D now. They just pay somebody $10K, like $10,000 for a fucking perfectly high resolution 3D model with jiggle boobies and all that shit, and they have barely any toggles, and then they just do that. And I'm like, I respect it. Game recognized game. That's a lot of money to devote to your model. Nobody else does that. Like, you don't see fucking Ludwig paying 10 grand for makeup. Wow, I'm actually getting to work early. Who knew? I say early, but then I still gotta go in and punch in perfectly timed and not mess it up. But yeah, so the stream is coming up, and I'm a little worried about it, mostly just anxious about streaming again because I haven't done it in a very long time. But I enjoy it deep down somewhere. I like playing the games. I like having an audience. I like that stuff. It's just doing it every single day and slowly losing my mind, that kind of thing. Also, just the feeling of like watching the number go up and down is like, streaming is the most psychologically damaging art form I have ever seen. Like, I've done a lot of insane things. Streaming is like, for me personally, like the worst out of all of it. Like, I'd rather be on stage naked in front of 1,000 people than be a streamer. But hey, it's a medium, and I want to try it, and I want to get good at it, and this is maybe my last stream for a while. If I enjoy it and if it's successful, then I'll do another one in October probably. But if it sucks, I don't know if I'm going to do it again. I've said it before, but it's a thing. But speaking of the stream, I bought some new equipment. I'm very excited. I used to have 3 monitors when I streamed. One of them was a drawing tablet, but then I realized that I never really draw on stream anymore, and I never use my tablet, which means I never draw anymore. So I moved the tablet back into my bedroom, and now I only have 2 monitors, which you'd think would be a downgrade, but I think it actually helps. I think it makes it less distracting when I'm playing games, and I think it's going to be good. Man, it is ominously foggy out right now. You ever see Silent Hill? That's where I am. It's like the void is just particularly foggy. It's because there's so many lakes, and these horrific lakes just lit up steam and cold, and when the air changes and it just becomes nothing but dense, thick, terrifying, ominous fog. And then you get closer and closer to the city, and then there's lights, and it's just foggy lights in the dark. Spooky, scary. I bought pedals for my stream. I've been wanting to buy the Stream Deck pedal for a really long time. The Elgato Stream Deck pedal. I have a regular Stream Deck, but I wanted to buy the pedals. But then I was like, everybody complains about the pedals and they say that they suck. So I went and bought a different pedal from a different company because I thought, I don't know if I want the pedals to be in the system, because then you have to have like a separate menu to alter them and stuff. It's a whole thing. And I was like, well, what if I just like get actual pedals? So I went and found like industrial ass 3 pedals on Amazon that are just like this like shitty Chinese company that like threw them together with like a bad software program, and I'm like, hell yeah, I love that shit. I love broken tech that's just like garbage. I'm gonna use it so much. My plan is to rig it to the screen so that I can zoom in with a pedal, so I can do like just the game, just me, and then like a zoom in the screen type thing while I'm still on screen, so we can enhance. I think it'll be cool. I did it before with buttons on my keyboard, but when I was in the middle of like fights and stuff in games, I couldn't do it. And I'm like, with a pedal I could. With a pedal I could like zoom in when I'm about to kill the dude. It's sort of like I want to edit in camera. I'm obsessed with it, with editing in camera. The idea of like not having to edit anything and be able to make highlights and stuff without editing, where all the zooms and the shots and all the like cool things that people do in editing, where you just do it on the stream live, and then when you cut it down, you just cut the audio down, and then boom, it's done. That's what I want. I want to be able to just like stream, and when I'm done, a full video is done. That's what I want, because I am a busy guy, and I'm getting more and more busy coming up. It just so happens exactly in tune with me starting to stream 4 hours every day. My job has also decided to double my hours and give me an extra day of work every week. So they're like, not only are you going to be pushing yourself to the very limits on this never-ending marathon of a stream, but also while you're doing that, we're going to make you work harder. You've been complaining that you don't get enough hours, so here you go. More hours. Exactly what you wanted. Right when you didn't need it. So the next 2 months are going to be hell. So maybe that's why I'm sleeping. Maybe my anti-insomnia is so that I can survive the coming apocalypse. The never-ending exhaustion that will be working nonstop. I'm going to literally wake up, take a shower, stream for 4 hours, eat food, go to work, come home, sleep. And I'm going to do that for 90 days straight. And I get 1 day off a week to make a video, and then 1 day off a week to do absolutely nothing, except I still have to stream. So I don't do absolutely nothing. I will be able to stream longer once a week, because I can guarantee you I will not stop. I won't stop streaming. I'll just keep going. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always streaming. Okay, well, I'm here. I got 5 more minutes before I have to walk over there. It takes me about 5 minutes to get all the way in and punch in and everything. So I actually have to wait a couple minutes. So it's perfect for us to get our chat on. Let me see. So I have a whole list of stuff that I'm supposed to talk about. Talk about work bullshit. I did that. Did that a lot. Okay. So yeah, let's recap the show so far. People have very mixed opinions about the whole romance in Kingdom Hearts thing. When you talk about anything that has a gay-related opinion, it can cause a lot of conflict. My model looks like shit, and I'm going to upgrade it for all of you so that I don't look as shitty. I'm going to give myself the biggest of eyeballs, and then I'm going to take that eyeball texture that's really large, and I'm going to shrink it down to the normal size. Basically, in Live 2D, you can take a texture and expand it and make it bigger, and it will allow you to create higher resolution for that specific texture, and then it will automatically shrink it down to the size. So all I really need to do is like make one adjustment. But the problem is, because my models, I have like 5 variants of myself, because I have all the 5-in-1 crew. They all also have to be altered like that. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I might leave them with the dead eyes. But yeah, giving a shine to my eye might be easier than just doing this whole like making my eye bigger, high resolution. But I don't know. I thought about wearing a blindfold in a video, and then like at the end of the video, like Riku revealing my eyes and saying, his eyes didn't lie, and then showing my new eyeballs. But I don't know if I have enough time to do that, and it wouldn't make any sense putting it in the next video. It has to be in this one if it's going to make any sense. But I don't know. It's an idea. These are ideas. So this is the first half of the show. When I come back in like seconds from now, I'm going to tell you about a bunch of new ideas I've been working on. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 9 different shows I've been trying to create. Actually 10 different shows. And I'd love to run them by an audience and see what people think, because I don't know how many of them I'm actually going to make. I was going to make them during my break, but seeing as I cannot stop sleeping, it's becoming really hard to sit and record for 4.5 hours when you can't be awake for more than 8 hours. Like, not even 8, like 6 hours. I've been falling asleep, like, constantly. I don't know what's going on with me. Anyway, I will be right back. I have to go punch in and hope that they don't get mad. Bye. It's nice doing this. Bye. I am back. Quiet car. Shush. I am back. I am here to talk about ideas and things that I am working on. I had a very good time at work. Did a good job. One of my coworkers was quitting today. It was their last day, because a lot of people are quitting right now because it's the summer and the management changed. It happens every couple of years where the management will change at a job and they will overcorrect and be complete assholes and have no respect for humanity, and then their employees will all quit. But I stay because I work at night and they can't do anything that affects me that much. So my coworkers all quit. It was very sad. A lot of them quit. Not all of them, but the manager's thinking about quitting. I convinced her to stay, but I don't know. It was very sad. And Jane, she asked me to hug her. She's like, "Can I hug you?" And I'm like, okay. I haven't had a hug in a long time. It's very awkward, especially since I was just working all day and I'm like, I smell, dude. I stink. And you want to get real close. Okay. I feel real self-conscious about it. Don't breathe. Don't breathe while we're hugging. Don't do it. But yeah, it was nice. And then I came out here, and that was it. It threw me a little off guard. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to anybody wanting to hug. It's a strange situation, hugging. But I guess it was her last day, and she's sad. Anyway, so I'm supposed to talk about a couple of topics. So let me look at my topic list. I just made it to the stop sign here. Let me make sure I got it. Okay. First of all, huge announcement. I talked about it a couple of times in a few of these, but I don't know how much I've actually said it out loud. I'm saying it out loud so that it is official. When I say something on here, it's kind of like a promise. It's like, hey, I announced it. It's a thing that exists. I can't keep working on it in secret and then just throw it away like the other 50 projects I've made. No, here it is. It's a pretty wacky project. I still don't know where I'm going to put it. I might put it on Patreon for free. I might put it on one of my older YouTube channels, just like one of them, to just put stuff on it. I could like redo the D&Me channel to something else, because I'm thinking about moving that back to podcasts. I don't know. YouTube is complicated. But here's the idea. It is called Kingdom Hearts Abridged. Remember all those old abridged shows? I've been thinking about it for a long time. Now I don't have a crew, and I don't really think voice acting over Kingdom Hearts is going to be that useful or helpful. But I thought nobody's ever done an edit where they take all the scenes of Kingdom Hearts and really refine it. Because I've seen a couple of fan edits of Kingdom Hearts, and most of the time it's just like a movie. They take the whole every cutscene from the game and they put it in order, and it's like the movie. And I even used one of those as the basis for the thing I'm working on, because they added these really interesting interstitials where they went and they got the audio of people of the fighting, and I've decided to use that. I hope that they don't get mad about it. I guess it's not monetized, so technically you can do whatever you want. But basically, I took all the scenes from Kingdom Hearts. I've made a few things. and I decided to make Kingdom Hearts the anime. That's a better name for it. The working title was Kingdom Hearts Abridged, but I realized that Abridged usually leaves like the premise that there's going to be voice acting and stuff, and I'm like, no. I wanted to take all the scenes, because I edit all the Kingdom Hearts footage every day. Like every week I put out another video with new footage that I've pulled and painstakingly organized. It doesn't really matter that much to people, but to me it does. I think my B-roll skills are good. I mean, I started my YouTube channel as like an editing portfolio thing, because all the editors I knew were like, nobody will hire you if you don't have a portfolio. And I'm like, well, all my footage is copyrighted. I can't use any of it, because when you edit stuff at the schools, they give you like school copyrighted footage, and then you can't fucking use it in your portfolio. And it's like, why would you do this? Why would you give us footage that we can't use? So all the work I did in college meant nothing. So then I had to like do a whole new reel. So that was when I started my YouTube channel, and then eventually I gave up on the whole film thing, and now I just have editing skills that I don't use that well. So I thought, hey, I did some movie re-edits back in the day on the channel. What if I did like a cut together of all the scenes? So the premise was, what if we did Kingdom Hearts from Riku's perspective? What is that? Because there's so many people that keep saying, well, Riku isn't gay, I don't see it. And so many people saying, well, Riku is gay. And so many people saying, well, no, he isn't. But everybody can pretty much agree that not a lot of people know his full story, because you have to play like 15 games. And there's a lot that gets lost in translation, in the time between like all the gameplay and everything. You kind of miss, other than Chain of Memories, the B-side of Chain of Memories, other than that, you really don't get Riku's story except in little sprinkles. So I was like, well, what if somebody took all of Riku's story and just cut it together into like a single show? So I've made Kingdom Hearts the animation. I still have to make the intro. I want to do like an anime opening for it. I was originally, when I was working on it, I used the intro for Kingdom Hearts 1 as like the standard, but then I realized, one, that music is always DMCA'd, so I can't use it, and two, it doesn't match Riku at all. It's all about Sora. So I was like, I need to come up with, I need to make a classic AMV, an anime music video from early 2000s. I need to make one about Riku for the intro. I think I'll be able to do it. I have faith. I think I can make that. I've never done it before, but I still have to do it before I release this thing. So I've been working on it for a while. After I finish editing videos, sometimes I'll go tinker with it. It's like a little side project I've been doing. And I don't know if I should even be announcing all these insanely weird projects, but I feel like I need some encouragement to like make them. Because like when you make stuff, you really don't know if anybody's gonna like any of it, and a lot of the times you don't make something because you have nowhere to put it. The problem with like content creation online is that you create buckets in which people can get their content slop. So you're basically creating like, okay, here, this channel is for this kind of content, and then people come in and they get that kind of content. It's like a menu at a restaurant. It's like, okay, we are serving this meal. The truth about, that's what I serve on this channel. I can't make anything else. I gotta make the truth about. And that's fine. But then what if you make something else? What if you make a chef special? What do you do with that? So I have all these projects that I try, and then I put them on a new channel, and I test them out, and then nobody really bites. I get like a couple of views here and there, but it's the same audience, so they don't want to see that from me. And then it doesn't grow, and it just feels like, well, why even do it then? Because it takes so long to get traction on YouTube. It's like, you have to do like 50 videos before anybody will even watch your stuff. And a lot of the times I'm only interested in making one or two of this thing, and then nobody watches it, and then I go, well, what's the point of making more? So I've come up with a new model, a new content stratagem. You make a bunch of, I'm just gonna make a whole season of stuff, and then I'm gonna release it all on Patreon for people to look at for free, maybe on a channel somewhere, and see if people are interested. And then maybe if enough people are interested in those things, maybe I can make a whole channel of that kind of thing. But I don't know. Sometimes you just want to make stuff. Sometimes you make stuff and it's just for you, and you don't care if anybody really watches it. I mean, you care, but you're willing to take the bullet that is no one watching something. Like this show, right? Like, I don't expect anybody to really watch this. I got a few views. I got a single like, which blew my mind on this, like on a separate channel, a podcast. It's like 40 minutes. Wow. I mean, I believe in this show, but I don't believe in the way YouTube works to be conducive to a creative atmosphere. But yeah, so that's the next big one I'm working on. is Kingdom Hearts Abridged. I already edited the first 5 episodes of it, season 1 basically, which is all of Kingdom Hearts 1's parts with Riku. And then I have an intro and an outro on there, but they're not good. I need to change them to a different one because I want that TV experience of like it's an anime opening and an outro, and then every arc it's gonna change, and it'll be like a season 2, a season 3 type thing. So I'm trying it. I'm working on it using my vast library of Kingdom Hearts footage. It was pretty easy to stick it together, and because I've been studying the lore and all the footage and everything for all these videos, I know a lot of the scenes, but pretty much like the back of my hand. So it was very easy to cut together the narrative that is Riku's story. So I didn't change anything. I didn't add anything. The only stuff, I don't even think I cut anything out in the first one. I might have left like 1 or 2 things out, but generally when you do just Riku's story, it's pretty obvious what it's about, and it really flows well, and it actually has like perfect act breaks like every 20 minutes or so. Nomura, he knows what he's doing when he writes the Kingdom Hearts stuff. I think it's pretty good, because normally watching all the Kingdom Hearts cutscenes, like there's hundreds of hours of that stuff, and then it's like if you can cut it down into like 20-minute slices, it's actually like consumable as like a medium. I don't know if anybody's willing to just watch watch cutscenes from a video game, but if they're presented in the right way, maybe it might be enough for someone who loves Kingdom Hearts to go back and check it out again. I mean, I watched it twice already, and I enjoyed it both times, so that's a pretty good sign, because I usually get pretty bored in cutscenes. But I've been working on it. I can't guarantee I'm going to finish every single game immediately, but it isn't that hard. I should be able to do some of it. I don't know how I'm going to release it, if I'm going to do... I feel like I'm going to do it in batches, but it's one of the many things I'm considering doing. But I have a bunch of other stuff I'm working on. Too many things, really. So yeah, I guess I could go through more of those ideas. I have this thing called 5-in-1. I've been working on it for a really long time. I did some test recordings like 2 months ago, and then I did a lot of thought about like what is the name going to be, the branding and everything. What is the premise and everything. I've been doing a lot of research, watching like board game shows and reaction channels and all these different things, trying to piece together sort of a concept. But basically, on my stream, I invented this tool that I like to call the 5-in-1 system. And what it lets you do is it lets you become multiple VTuber models, one after another, instantaneously. Basically, you can puppet multiple variants of you. Different people, different characters can talk to each other, and because it uses a pitch shifter and a voice changer, it doesn't wear out your throat. Because if you're normally switching between characters and doing multiple voices, it can be really taxing and exhausting. And I wanted this system to work like it was like breathing. Like you could just be multiple characters and it not be taxing, and you could do it for hours and it wouldn't be a problem. Because when you're doing like voices for characters and voice acting, it's really exhausting and bad for your voice, and you can't keep it up for very long. But if you're just using your normal speaking voice, it becomes less taxing. It's still pretty taxing, but less taxing. And I tested it out for years. I've done a bunch of different stuff with it. I did a weekly show where we played Octopath Traveler together, me and as I used to call them, the imaginary crew. I called them the Strahd crew for a long time because we played Dungeons & Dragons Curse of Strahd for a while, and I did the D&D show, which nobody was super interested in, so I stopped it mid-season because nobody cared. I want to finish it. I have an idea for the season 2 finale being like a reboot, like a restart, because up until then I still haven't incorporated all the systems yet. It was so rudimentary at first, because originally all it was at first was a way to play D&D by yourself. I wanted to be able to stream D&D, and I didn't have a lot of guests at the time, so I thought, is there a way to do it by yourself? And I did a test episode of my D&D show I had a long time ago, where I played D&D by myself. It was me and one character, and it was amazing. It was like one of the best things I've ever made. It was called The Pit, and it was very good. And then it's on this channel, actually. It's D&Me The Pit. It's like the first episode I ever did of D&D. And I think it was pretty good. It was fun to do. And I realized that I kind of had a talent for it. So I built out the tool, and it was images that popped up on screen using that like flash image thing that all the VTubers use for their like guests to speak with. It's like the PNG tuber tool. And I used that for a while with like voice changers, and I was testing all these interconnected systems. And then recently, like 4 months ago, bumped it up to being full-on models that could talk. But then when I tested it, I was doing this like Kingdom Hearts show, and it was called, it was like Kingdom Hearts D&D, and I was going to do it for like 30 days straight. After the last Kingdom Hearts stream. But the problem became, it was really glitchy. When you're streaming, it takes more computing power than when you're not streaming. So it was impossible to stream the show live. So I kind of abandoned it for a while. And I realized that it doesn't really work live. The tool is possible to use live, like you can talk to yourself live, and I still do it, and I'm gonna do it during the stream. But if you really wanna like get into the thing and do it right, it's way better to not do it live, to take pauses and really think about what you're gonna say and use the editing tools that I have to sort of edit through it easier. And it's a complicated concept. But basically, 5-in-1 is an idea where it's like, what if there was a channel where I could just have this like puppeting tool be the main concept? It's like 5 animated characters, like 5 VTubers doing something together and arguing with each other. And the gimmick is that it's all one guy. You don't even know half the time. Like, people could watch this channel and not even know it's one person. That's the goal, to basically be able to create an entire team of creators out of one guy. And people would say when I was doing it live that it was sad. It was a sad idea, because it's like, oh, you're playing a game by yourself. I don't see it. I try not to see it as a sad thing, because I've done many shows. I've done shows with friends, and it just doesn't last. YouTube is too hard of a struggle for anyone to maintain and continue to do over a long period of time for basically nothing. Because you can't like pay your friends when you don't get money from the thing, when it's a hobby. So it's like you can't hire people to come and be on your show if you don't make money. You kind of have to have the show be successful before you can make enough to pay the people to come on the show. So I was just trying to figure out a way to do like more things with more people without anyone else, just on your own. Can you do it? And I've been trying that my whole life. When I was in high school, I used to watch Freddie Wong videos, and I would do like clone videos where I like clone myself, and I had multiple me's talking to each other. So I've been doing it forever. I want this thing to work. I've worked on it for so long. I've built this tool out to the point now where it's been so long, I don't even know if I could recreate it the same way. It just runs so smoothly and efficiently, and it just works so well that I know it can be something. It's not just a gimmick for a stream anymore. So I was trying to come up with names. Out of all the people, I asked my dad for some reason. I was like, what do you think I should call it? I can't figure it out. It's just like, I have this tool where I can be 5 people at once. And he came up with the name. He said 5-in-1. And I was like, you know what? That's actually it's the first time my dad has ever had a good name idea. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's the idea. 5-in-1. So I had a ton of different ideas for it. I used to do this AI dungeon show for a long time where I would play a dungeon on stream, and people loved it. But this small amount of number of people, like the 2 or 3 people that would watch me play AI. When it went on YouTube, it actually got a couple of views on the VOD channel. And I was like, bringing it back wouldn't be a bad idea. And doing it with like multiple characters could be fun. I was going to call it AI Dungeon Adventures. I tested a board game tournament with all the characters on stream, and that video got a few comments that were like, this is like a really good idea, you should do it. And I took that to heart, and I was like, it is a good idea, I should do it, even if the numbers don't say I should. So I wanted to do like, there's a lot of board game shows that have existed. Tabletop was a classic one with Will Wheaton back on Geek and Sundry years ago. And then Game Grumps did Table Flip, and then they sold the rights and like did it as like an actual like paid show that went on TV. I think they were on Sling. And then Smosh is still doing it. They're doing Board AF, which is an incredible show, and I love all the versions of it. The Sword AF, which is the D&D show they did Betrayal, which was so good. It was Betrayal Legacy, where they just did like the Legacy set of Betrayal, where they played like 20 games of Betrayal, but every time it was descendants of the previous plays, like the previous group. It was a good idea, and I love those board game shows. Let's Roll was the classic Rooster Teeth one. There were a bunch of shows like that, and it's just like you get a pun title for board games, and I was just gonna do like a 5-in-1 plays type deal, and I recorded a couple of them, and I even edited one of them, but it's not quite there yet. It still needs something to put it over the top. It needs special spices, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you can cook something up, you can make a fucking 45-minute video, and then when you put it out or you look at it, you're like, it's just not good enough. There's something missing. But I wanted to do the D&D show again, but I know that people aren't super interested in that. I have this one D&D show that was fully recorded. It was a whole season, and it was called Beneath the Ground, and it was like a 5-episode show that I remember being incredibly good, but it was still that old system with like images that flash, so I don't know if it's worth finishing. It's just like you get all these shows that I tested on stream, and it's like in the moment they feel great, but then when you're actually editing them, you're like, God, it's so long. There's so much work to finish just one episode. It's like, I'm one guy. I gotta still make a video. I gotta still do my job and work over there. I'm gonna be streaming. It's like, it's too much for one guy to do. And it's like, you do all this effort and then you put it out and nobody cares. And you're just like, why do you do this? I could get by just doing 4 hours a week. Just make a single fucking 5-8 minute video and that was it. And not try all this other stuff. And it would be so much easier, but it would be really unfulfilling. You know, that's the difference, I guess, between being a person that makes stuff for like the sake of making stuff and being a creator, like a content creator. You want your stuff to be successful, but you also want the freedom to make stuff, like new stuff, and take risks and do stupid shit. I've been looking at reaction channels too, because I feel like that's going to survive AI. That's the thing that is going to be big. I mean, it already is big. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, but like, I almost exclusively watch reaction channels now. It's insane how many I watch. And I wonder, with this 5-in-1 system, it could be good for reactions, because I remember some of those group reaction channels, like back in the day, like React, the Fine Brothers channel. They were really good at having like multiple perspectives, like 2 or 3 or 4 people reacting to the same thing, and it would cut between them. And then Girls Play did the same thing, but it was an all-female cast, and it was like way better. Like, they did a better job at it, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea. Plus, every reaction channel now has to have the gimmick of like blank reacts or first time watching. And it's like, I've seen every video on the internet. I guess the 5-in-1 is a good gimmick though. It's like these 5 characters are reacting to it, so it's like I'm watching it for the first time because they haven't seen it. You know, Flem and Vincent and Ophelia, they haven't seen the video because they're not real. They're constructs, you know. They're figments of my imagination. They can react as if it's the first time because they haven't seen it. But I don't know. That's sort of all the 5-in-1 stuff. I had this idea of like all this different kind of content I could do with that group. And I was like, but where would I put all this? Is it going to be like 5 different channels? Is it going to be one channel where I just do different shit? Like, that's not going to work. But I don't know. Smosh does that. Smosh does all kinds of stuff. They do like 4 or 5 different shows a week, and it works for 4 or 5 different shows like continuously, and it works for them. And they're big, and they've existed for a long time. But it also could just be that a lot of the times there's creators that are really big, and the only real reason that they're big is because they have existed for so long that they could build a big fan base that's willing to put up with more stuff. Like, when you're small, people are less willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're less willing to like go out on a limb and give you a chance with something new. It's like you have to earn people's trust before you can make new stuff. Like, game theory existed for years, and then they came out with film theory, and then years later they came out with food, and then years later they came out with style. And like that, those channels only worked because they took the time and they did the same kind of thing each time. And also they had a team, which is a whole other thing that I've always had a problem with, which is I'm always doing this stuff alone, and it's exhausting. All right, what were the other ideas? I'm almost home. Let's go through the last. I want to bring I Hate Reading back. I noticed, interestingly, a couple of people have gone back and watched a few of the episodes. I'm very happy about that because I loved that show. Doing that show was a blast. As much as like in the show I talk about, how much I hate it, I like the show as like a concept. Like, someone who doesn't like to read, being forced to read is inherently, to me, kind of funny. But I don't know. It was a weird show. I'm thinking about doing it again with FNAF. I think I've said it before on the show, but Five Nights at Freddy's has a lot of books. I'm very curious as to what actually happens in all these books because I hear people talk about them daily, and I'm like, I kind of want to read them now. And I'm like, there's no way I could just sit there and read these books. I got to do something with it. And I thought, I Hate Reading. It's there. It could come back. Do a whole season, just read all the, like, each section of the FNAF books. Just read Tales, or read what's the one called? Fright? No, I can't remember what it's called. The first series that they did, the first run, where it was like 6 books. I could do those as like a test, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of overlap between FNAF and the Kingdom Hearts fandom. I assume on my channel there is a bit of an overlap, because when I did a few FNAF videos, people were interested. I don't know. Sorry if this is a lot of talking, but I mean, what else is it going to be? Driving a car and talking, that's the show. I had another idea, which was The Joy of Painting, the show that Bob Ross did. I wanted to do that show, but bad, because I have a very different artistic style than Bob Ross. I'm not as good as Bob Ross, not even fucking close. I make abstract art in most cases, but I think it's a really fascinating process to watch my weird thing, because nobody else really does it. And I've done it a few times on stream, and people have enjoyed it a lot. So I was like, oh, what if I did that, but like in the style of The Joy of Painting? So it would be called The Joy of Painting Nonsense, or like baloney, you know? But I don't know. It's another one of those, it's just an idea I'm thinking about. And then, yeah, I had two more, which was, I had this show called 7 Questions, where I would write movies with my friend. I thought about doing that, but with the 5-in-1 crew, because I thought it's an interesting angle to write a movie as a character. Like, what would a character write a movie as? Like, what movie would they make? And it almost gets you out of your own head and allows you to come up with, like, newer ideas for writing movies. Because the problem with 7 Questions was, like, every time we would just end up writing the same fucking 3 movies over and over again. And I was like, we needed new ideas. And a cool way to come up with new ideas would be like, well, what if a character wrote it? But I don't know. Yet again, it's another one that wouldn't work algorithmically. Nobody cares. Anyway, I am literally home. The last show I wanted to talk about is called What Is? But I guess I'll save that one for later. I guess I've talked enough about shows. What Is could be good. The idea is to use my 3D version of me and insert myself into things as I talk about them, and talk about more like other forms of media, like movies and video games, and like get real deep in the analysis. I have a tendency to be less deep when I analyze stuff, be more surface level and more summary like. And I thought, what if I did a show that was more deep? And I was like, if I put myself in, like, they used to do this thing at the Oscars where they would take people and they would put them in the movie trailers or in scenes from movies. And I was like, that's fun. I could do that easily with my 3D self. So I thought about it. And I actually wrote a script. I wrote a script about Fright Night, the 2009 remake of Fright Night. And I wrote about how it's the most, like, the movie itself is, like, weirdly about misogyny. It's a fascinating analysis I have written, but it's basically that entire movie, the villain isn't just a vampire that's trying to eat people. It's kind of sexism is the bad guy. It's weird. It's a very liberal arts essay, but either the movie is purposely the most sexist thing that's ever existed, and that's the point. Like they're all like all the bad guys are sexist, and that's the point. Like sexism bad. Or that movie is just a product of sexism in general. But, like, that movie is, like, wow. That's, like, Fright Night's a good, like, the remake of Fright Night, I don't care what anybody says, it's good. I love that movie. I watched it now, and immediately after finishing it, I was like, I need to write something about this. I need to sit down and I need to explain this. And I was working on This Is at the time, and I was like, I gotta do it. So I have written a script, but I haven't recorded it yet, because I'm still on the fence as if I should do it. I don't know. Normally now I would talk and answer your guys' questions, but yet again, no questions yet. I know leaving comments is stressful, so I get why the lurkers haven't done that. But yeah, let me know if you have any, if you want me to talk about anything specific, because I think I know, I think I have a lot of knowledge about stuff. I think I could say some interesting things. I'm very good at bullshitting, and I could say some interesting things about a lot of different stuff, but it just depends on what you guys want. And I don't want this show to just be me being like, here's all the shows I want to make. Here's my show. The first one was all about basically complaining about a bunch of people not getting what I was talking about, and just comments in general. And then this one is like, I haven't been sleeping well. I just wanted to sort of talk about everything. Because I record these things like this all the time that I don't put out. But I thought, hey, you know, it might be nice to, like, say something that people could hear. I don't know, I make a lot of stuff, and the numbers are starting to get higher, and it's slightly terrifying. I actually did the math recently and looked into, like, how many actual views have I gotten, and it's up there, and it's a frighteningly large number, but I know most of that number is the one viral, like the 2 or 3 viral videos I got way back in the day, where I hit 50K because I talked about Iron Mouse. And then I hit 10K when I talked about what is it called? Our Flag Means Death. And then I think I hit like 5K when I talked about Mimcubus, I think. I don't know. But I had a couple of like few bigger ones early on. And that gave me enough momentum to want to keep going. But recently it's been like 1,500 to 1,000 every video. And I'm like, that's so much more than I ever had. And I'm happy about it, but I'm also like, I don't want it to get to my head, and I also don't want to lose the connection to the audience. So that's kind of why I made this show. It's kind of terrifying to have any success at all, because when you make stuff and you aren't successful, then you're kind of free, because you make something and then it fails, and then you go, okay, well, that sucks that failed. I guess I'll make another thing. And you're free to make whatever you want. But then the second you have success, suddenly you're stuck with that. That's what you do now. And it's good and it feels great, but it's a double-edged sword. Like, would Van Gogh have painted all his paintings if he was successful? Because he failed the whole time, was horribly depressed, and then he fucking shot himself and he died. And maybe, I mean, there's a bunch of conspiracy theories about Van Gogh. Some people think he got shot by someone else. It's a whole thing. Anyway, why did I go on that tangent? Van Gogh never saw his success, and I wonder how he would have reacted to being successful. Would he have been happy with it? I don't know. I think it's kind of bittersweet to succeed, and I feel like I'm kind of succeeding right now, but not really. Not yet. It's getting there. I am so close to 1,000 subs. Why am I not there yet? It's so infuriatingly close. I said it last time. It was like a loading screen with like 99%. Now it's at the point where it's like at 100%, but it won't finish. That's what it feels like right now. And I'm like, fuck, man. It's like 28 more people just have to hit the button. And then I can ask if I could get paid. And I want that paycheck just so I can have it in my hand. I want to print it. Like, I want to screenshot the email that they send me to my PayPal. And then I want to fucking take that and I want to fucking put it on a wall. I want to know that all this was worth it and that I have worth as a creator. Not so much about like actually getting paid, because it's going to be like $2. But just getting a paycheck that says $2 is so much better. Like, I've been trying on Twitch to make it to 100 so that they could finally pay me, because I've been affiliate for like 3 years. I still haven't made $100. People have donated to me too, and I feel bad because it's like I don't even get the money. Like, they gave me this money and it doesn't even come to me. And I'm like, well, why am I even on Twitch? It just feels bad because it hasn't reached the threshold where I can get paid because I make so little. I wonder when tax season comes, how the hell do you even do that on your taxes? How do you say, I made $100 over the course of 5 years? Do you even bring it up because it's so small amount of money? Will the IRS audit me and go, hey, you didn't tell us about this $100 you got from the Amazon Corporation? You could probably just tell them, oh, it was a refund for something I bought. And they'd be like, oh, okay. That's how little it is. Tax jokes. That's the kind of thing you can get here. I don't know if you could pick up the birds that are outside. You see. They're too quiet. Do you hear them? Sometimes I forget how beautiful it is out here. Birds chirping. You know, when I used to live in the city, I missed the nature a little bit. But when I was walking to school, because I was in college there, when I was walking to class, I would always take this detour where I would go under this bridge. And the reason I would go under the bridge, it was a railway for the metro. So it was like a train that went through the whole city. And as you walked through it, you would hear birds. There was a bird's nest somewhere in there, and you would just hear birds echoing down the alley. And it was overgrown in some places, and there was like a fence that was abandoned. So like some would call that like a scummy like mess of like a trashy area. But I always thought it was like the most beautiful place in the entire city. The idea that like in the center of like the third biggest city in America, and I was in Chicago, in the center of like this big city, like under the train lines, in like the center of the touristiest district in the place, that there could just be this nature pocket, this place where like everything is calm and it's like the city doesn't even exist. There was something really beautiful about it. It was right outside my dorm. I went to the University Center in Chicago. It was a very nice building, very tall skyscraper where everybody could live. And yeah, right outside my window there was that train line, and then you could hear the birds. It was beautiful. It was the same school that Kanye went to. That's what everybody would say. And I'd be like, that's not a compliment. And also, over time, it became less of a compliment because Kanye went a little nuts, didn't he? Oh, man. I wish I could have finished graduating there because I always wanted to graduate just so, not for the recognition of graduating, but just so I could say, I'm better than Kanye because he didn't graduate. He dropped out. What a stupid thing to think about. Such an insane, random tidbit of an unimportant chapter from years ago in my life. Anyway, that's about it. If you liked this show, I guess leave a like. Someone did. I've never seen people leave likes. I guess that's a thing people do on the internet. I don't know why people ask for likes. I'm guessing that likes are good for the algorithm. That's what they always say. I feel like it's partially an ego thing, you know? I never ask for likes. I don't want... it's not that I don't want them, but it's like they're not that important overall. But yeah, leave a comment. Tell me some more shit I should talk about. Because I'm running out of stuff to talk about. I'm going to try to do this every week. It's kind of a pain in the ass to edit it, but I've created a system where it'll go faster. I think I'll get better at it over time. It might be good for me to force myself to sit down and just listen to myself ramble about YouTube stuff. Might give me some perspective listening back to this. But I just want to say, as always, I appreciate anyone willing to watch or listen to this. After a lifetime of struggling to make anything and failing horribly as a creator for my entire life, it's nice to know that a few people listened to me ramble while I was in the car. Cringe you later. Bye.